There are many of us who, like myself, have been victims of sexual abuse. And some of us who are courageous enough report it. And I was very blessed to have at my design masterclass in Birmingham, Alabama, the local district attorney who had an app that was used to report sexual crimes. It was running on their regular old computers, the big CRTs they had on top of the desk, because it helped them catch these people. That was good. And that was a quant goal. They wanted to catch more of those people. There were some other problems with the design, however. Look at this picture and catch the dynamic here. You see in the foreground the face of the detective, and there between the monitors, kind of on the other side of the wall, is the person reporting the crime. If you look at it now from the perspective of the girl who's reporting the crime, she's seeing a detective who's maybe a little bit jaded. Now, honestly, it's very common that that detective has her own experiences and came in with a lot of heart and has ended up being a little bit kind of down. But if you look at it, that detective has a couple confidants on her side who are only talking to her. The two computer screens on left and right, they're facing her. They're facing away from the victim. The victim's thinking, oh, she's asking me to describe the whole thing in detail. Don't leave anything out. And then she's clacking away on her keyboard. Where's that going? Who's seeing that? The dynamic of this is one of leaving the reporter on the outside. It's bad. It's better to have the system so you can start collecting data, but now it's time to improve. And thank God for the opportunity to have this class where we designed a new dynamic where the detective would actually come alongside the victim. And there was a moment where the detective could say, are you ready with agency to start this process? And the victim can take the iPad in his hands and he's in control. What a difference this dynamic makes. And the chance to be on the same team. Now, some of us may be very used to thinking of our apps in a more constrained way. Heck, there's a lot to talk about if we just talk about the app. In fact, some of us would prefer to take out all those humans. We want to help, but we get distracted by all the people. When we do that, we often make bad design choices. So taking the scope out and considering the whole dynamic is important. And make no mistake, the idea that this iPad here is a self, is a third party in the conversation, is very real. You put an awful lot of life into building that app. And the fact is, knock on wood, anything happens to you, your app can continue after you're dead, right? So you're creating this being. So why not create a being with some sense of tact, sensitivity, deference, respect to the process that you're engaging with. So there are rules that speak about this, and they happen often enough that they need to be in these rules. The first is the idea that first you frame a situation, and then afterwards you fit it in. So this is the set of I Love Lucy. It's the same thing that the Big Bang Theory used, almost identically, these wonderful little U-shaped bays where you could do the scenes. And there was no sense of like Big Bang Theory writers saying, I just feel too cramped by this medium. And they evolved it over time and made it fit better and better to the story. That's what we did as we evolved the system from the detective and the wall and the victim to the collaborative session, right? We fit it better and better. Face them. Everything that you see, everything that you have a chance to even think about for a moment, I'm seeing two windows outside and I've made them into eyes. We do that, okay? And the good designers, Ferdinand Porsche was a good designer, right? And he did it here with this car. How many faces does that car have? The 1939 here, it's awesome. The back of the vehicle has a face. The front has a face. The sides kind of have faces too, right? And to understand how instinctual this is, look at this picture and see how many things are looking over, how many faces are looking back at this car. Because we have this tendency inside of us, the best design is going to consider and understand that this is what we do. We personify the things around us. And last, certainly not least, the pattern here is serve up. Those of us who are working with tech, we are at a position of incredible power over the people who we serve. We know a lot about them. We could do damage very quickly. We have to take that attitude of service and make sure that we are serving up to them.